Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. And I hope you're having as good a day today as we are here in Maine. Beautiful day today, sunny, no clouds, 71, 72 degrees today. Actually, it was almost too warm to wear my jacket. So yeah, really nice out. And kids are staying outside later. You know, was it last night? There were kids outside playing there, and it was like 8:30, almost 9 o'clock, and they were outside. And I'm like, you know, it's nice when the weather's nice, you know, and so you can enjoy the seasons here as they come and go. So I got a couple of videos here. This first one is from Brian Tyler Cohen. And he's going to be talking with Norm Eisen, who's an attorney, and they'll be discussing Pam Bondi over the arrest of the judge I told you about. Was it last video or the video before? And, you know, how the Trump administration's declaring war on the justice system. You know, you think he'd be happy, right? Because he's got the Supreme Court packed, right? But, see, you know, the minute he gets the slightest bit of fucking resistance, he acts like a little baby. All right, so let's go to that video here, and then we'll, cover more of it on the other side.
What's happened to our judiciary is beyond me.
Yeah, so when the American public hears this and they think these were once upstanding people in their communities and their professions, and they put it all on the line for this, I mean, have you dug into their motive? Like, what inspired them to carry out these acts and harbor criminals?
They're deranged is all I can think of. I cannot believe, I think some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not. And we're sending a very strong message today. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. If you are helping hide one, if you are giving a TDA member guns, anyone who is illegally in this country, we will come after you and we will prosecute you. We will find you.
I'm joined now by the co-founder of State Democracy Defenders Action, Norm Eisen. Norm, that was a clip from Pam Bondi just today after the DOJ opted to arrest a judge in Wisconsin. You heard some of the language that was used in that clip. We will come after you and we will prosecute you. We will find you. We're sending a very strong message to the judiciary today. So this is basically the Trump administration declaring war on the courts. And so can I have your initial reaction to what we've just seen and heard from Pam Bondi?
Brian, we've seen Donald Trump now lose in court for almost the 100th time. We have it's over 90, almost 100 losses in 100 days. And what we saw today from Pam Bondi was shameful. But there was no lawful basis to arrest this judge because she didn't detain someone in her courtroom. Judges are allowed to have control of their courtroom. It's crazy. There was a similar case in Massachusetts. Trump tried in the first term. It had to be thrown out. And Pam Bondi made clear this wasn't about what that Milwaukee judge did, because she said she's sending a larger message to the judiciary. She addressed the judiciary as a whole. It's naked intimidation. It's unconstitutional. The television program should have been enjoined as a constitutional violation because, Brian, Article 3 of the Constitution gives judges the power to control Article 2, the president, when he violates the rules that are set under the Constitution by Article 1, Congress. That's why Donald Trump has lost almost 100 times, not because of judicial impropriety. And this is going to backfire on them in a big way.
But we've seen the way in which the Trump administration has been perfectly content to do this without even feeling like they need to backtrack at all. I mean, they just defied a 9-0 Supreme Court case as it relates to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and rather than relent a little bit when it became clear that they were in the wrong and that they were acting unconstitutionally, they just doubled down. Hell, they lied outright and said, you know what, screw it. You know, the Supreme Court says we won. And they just lied about the whole thing and just created out of whole cloth this alternate reality. And so we're seeing the same thing here, where rather than feel constrained or bound by what the courts are doing, they're just trying to usurp all the power from the judiciary in very much the same way the legislative branch has already voluntarily contracted their power to the executive.
But they're failing, Brian. And it makes a larger point that the first 100 days of Donald Trump have been a failure. He has not succeeded in transforming the government in the way that he sought. Take Abrego Garcia. You're right. The Supreme Court ruled against them. They went back to the court. They tried to mischaracterize in the lower court what they did.
Yeah.
But that judge didn't let him get away with it. She put the wood to him. The result is there's now a consensual 1-week pause. I've been practicing law for a very long time. That is DOJ signaling that they want to find a settlement. Mm-hmm. They want to find a way out of their bind. It may or may not work. As you know, we're active in all of these cases. We at State Democracy Defenders Action and our associated groups, more than 60 cases. And we are getting court orders this week. We got them at the rate of 1 every 2 days. Voice of America, preliminary injunction, Donald Trump, you can't violate the law and shut down Voice of America. Donald Trump's election EO, preliminary injunction, Donald Trump, you can't reset the federal election registration form. That's not up to you. And on and on. We've got many of these orders. As a result, Donald Trump, because of what's happening in the courts of law and all the other dimensions of our democracy, even as we speak, there's a peaceful, large, vigorous protest in front of the courthouse at what Donald Trump has done. He's not getting away with it. He has lost the first 100 days. And this lash out by Pam Bondi is just why he lashes out at me sometimes. It's the same thing. They're losing, and it makes him angry. But Bondi went too far. She crossed the line, and the judges are going to rule even more against DOJ as a result of what she said today. They're backed up by the American people. 80%, Brian, say Trump should abide by court orders, should follow the judges. That includes his own voters. So I'm feeling better about the pushback on Donald Trump's autocracy today as we near the end of the first 100 days than I have at any point since the administration began.
Norm, I do want to dig into something that you said. You had mentioned the fact that Donald Trump did call you out. He did so publicly in front of the Department of Justice, obviously with the intention of trying to give them kind of a wink and a nod, let them know who he wanted them to go after. What happened to you in the immediate aftermath of that? I guess give our audience some insight into what happens when you are name checked by the President of the United States. What comes in the aftermath of that?
I think I did my very first media hit, of which there were quite a few, with you immediately after that happens. Well, Brian, it's like when you receive any other extremely public backhanded compliment. You do get some threats and some negative incoming, but there was much more support that I got of people saying they have my back, of public statements by other democracy leaders, friends calling me. I take it as an encouragement. I worked extra hard that day. I wrote 2 lawsuits that day instead of just one. Donald Trump has taken my security clearance away 3 times. Brian, we've talked about this before. Either he's frustrated because he's losing so much in court, he takes it away, he says, turn it back on so it can make me feel good to take it away again,
Yeah.
or something's not quite right upstairs. He's tweeted about me. Elon Musk has tweeted more than 20 times. Do I look like that's slowing me down in any way?
No.
We, at the rate we're going, I thought we might have 100 lawsuits in 2025. I think we're going to have more than that.
He's certainly given you enough material to actually bring those lawsuits.
So I think that what we're seeing from Donald Trump, I'm just back from a trip to Europe, and we're seeing the same with his inability to deliver the peace results that he promised. What you're seeing from Donald Trump, what you saw with Pam Bondi with those absurd and ridiculous comments today, is not strength. It's weakness. He lost the first 100 days. His co-president, Elon Musk, is on the run. He lost the Wisconsin referendum, the people versus Musk. He's been laying low ever since, toxically political. The Doge project is a failure. They keep shrinking the amount of money they're saving down. They haven't transformed the government as they promised they would do. There are these almost 100 losses in court. Donald Trump's approval rating is lower than any other president at this point, including Trump 1. Musk, the co-president, is hated. And on. The American people aren't buying it. He's got his lowest numbers ever on immigration, on the economy. Those are supposed to be his strengths. People are sympathetic to Abrego and the others who are being unlawfully abducted. Donald Trump needed to come to his job with a scalpel. People wanted him to do a good job. Instead, he and Musk took a chainsaw. Total failure.
Norm, going back to Pam Bondi for just a moment, you were the ethics czar during the Obama administration. What would you have said in response to a attorney general doing something similar or something analogous if this was the Obama White House?
Well, I would have gone right to President Obama and said, the AG must be fired. If you can't get the AG's resignation, then you shall have mine. There's no place for those kinds of threats and attacks on the judiciary. If you have an issue with this judge, that's one thing. But she couldn't focus on the judge, really. You notice it was a totally fact-free presentation,
Yeah.
Brian, because the judge didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
There's no illegality or so. Instead, she made clear that this was an act of intimidation against the judiciary. There's no place for that. I can tell you, if anybody had done that any AG had done that in the Obama administration or a Democratic or Republican administration, they would have been history.
Yeah.
And it's reprehensible. It's just reprehensible.
Well, to that point, Norm, no one is doing as much as you are in the courts right now in terms of bringing these lawsuits. As you mentioned, you have several dozen working their way through the court system, including cases that you've outright won already. And so for folks who are looking to help you, to help the fighters out there, what can they do to help?
Well, they can find our websites. So you can look for State Democracy Defenders Action. We welcome you to support the fight. You'll see if you go on our websites, you look at the different things we do. We do them in partnership with labor, with wonderful civil rights organizations, with individual human beings, with the other democracy groups. So help our democracy group, help any democracy group. And folks, keep on doing what you're doing. The ultimate power of democracy is people power. And Brian, your viewers and listeners are out there participating. We've got Brian Tyler Cohen watchers who are at that Wisconsin courthouse right now, peacefully, vigorously, lawfully demonstrating in defense of the judge and in defense of our democracy. Keep it all up, folks. We're very grateful to you.
He's right. Trump, whenever he does something and it blows up in his face, he tries to create an alternate reality to explain away the failure. which obviously is a failure because of a crime he tried to commit, like, you know, sending people illegally into other countries in a concentration camp. No law in this country says that's allowed, okay? And, you know, he's created, from what I can gather, the biggest movement in this country against him since Richard Nixon. Think about that for a minute. He's got more people in this country right now against him than were against Richard Nixon during his time as president. That's a lot, okay? Because, you know, you got to think about, you know, it isn't just one thing. Where with Nixon, yeah, it was like all centered around Vietnam and how things were happening there. But we're not in a war, okay? What we are is in a financial crisis, and that's drummed up way more of a you know, of a counter movement against him than even the Vietnam War did. Okay, and so that says a lot right there about, you know, the incompetence of this guy. You know, it says a lot. And then on the other hand, and you got, you know, his approval number right now is lower than any president we've had in the last 80 years. Okay, even when he was president the first time, his approval number now is lower than that. So for the people out there, these MAGA folks who think that, oh, Trump's a great president, oh, you know, he won the election, and oh, there's a lot of people supporting him. Yeah, okay, but how do you explain these low numbers here that he's getting for the approval? Okay, and how is it that he's worse? He's got less approval now than he was the first time he was president. How do you explain that away if he's such an he's a great guy? Okay, he isn't. All right, and he wasn't popular even when he ran for office last year. Okay, the only reason why he won is because so many Democrats did not vote because they were hoodwinked and misled by the fucking media to think that Trump was better than Kamala. And they didn't want Trump, and they didn't want Kamala. So they stayed home and didn't vote. Bad mistake, by the way, okay? Never stay home on election day. That's a surefire way of losing whatever you think is good in this country, okay? And these times are proving me right. So don't try and say, oh, you're bullshitting. No, I'm not exaggerating. Okay, we're living the lesson here that I just told you here. You know, plus, you know, hey, look, he's been in office 100 days now. Everybody's been evaluating the 100 days, okay, of Trump. It feels more like 100 years with this guy, because every fucking day he's the subject of everybody's woes in this country, because he's fucking people over right and left. Okay, it was nice to be able to coast along for 100 days and not hear much about the president. I mean, you're supposed to have this what do they call a honeymoon period with the people, you know, in the first 100 days. This honeymoon went bust on day one. Okay, remember he said, I'm going to be a dictator on day one? Well, it's been day one plus 99, okay? And he's still a dictator, by the way, which everybody predicted was just bullshit talk from him about just being dictator for one day, okay? He obviously meant that to be permanent while he's president. And the result of his permanent dictatorship is coming home to roost, as it should. You know, and you got people, some people in MAGA, believe it or not, still have some respect for law and order, and the proof of that is in the polling that's coming out, which is driving down Trump's popularity, and the town hall meetings that keep erupting in fights between MAGA and their fucking Republican counterparts. Okay, I mean, this is these things you cannot hide. There's always people around with cameras recording things as they happen, so you can't say it's all theater. Okay? That's just another way of saying you just don't believe it. Well, fine, don't believe it, okay? I don't care if you believe it or not. The fact is, it's happening. All right? And if you want to stay in your bubble, that's your goddamn business. But truth is, we live better as an American society when we wake up to the realities of the world around us. When we go to sleep and we stay asleep, we wake up to a world forever changed by our incompetence. All right? And that's what's happening now. But I'll tell you, if there's any job that people should be in, should work for in school, be a lawyer, because right now Trump is giving lawyers more goddamn work in this country than they ever had. Okay, he's got lawyers that are working for him, and there's a whole bunch of lawyers that are working against him. Okay, so be a lawyer if you want. If you're looking for a job that's going to guarantee you some goddamn business and money, be a lawyer. Especially now, you got the perfect time to be a lawyer is right now. They're in high demand. Okay, Jesus. You know, he didn't come to this job as president in the spirit of making America great again. No, that didn't happen. Okay, he came to this job with the idea of tearing it down and rebuilding America in his image. Okay, and if those of you who have been paying attention to the shit that he does, okay, then you know his image is really, it stinks to high heaven. So now America will stink to high heaven, you know. And, you know, it's sad that these times, and a lot of people are saying, are going to be worse than the times we had during the Great Depression, which, you know, a lot of us didn't go through. But people are going to call this new depression we're coming into the greatest depression, because that's how bad things are going to get. So how bad they were in the Great Depression, this is going to be worse. Okay, so you know, I don't want to scare you people, but I ain't going to lie to you either. Okay, not going to lie to you. When economists, and not just one economist, not just two economists, or three, or four, or five, you got global economists from many countries, because look, if the United States falls, that reserve money that, you know, the United States represents to all the countries is going to affect their nations too. It's not just going to be all confined to the U.S. Why do you think they're already making deals now for trade with China? They're trying to get away from the storm before they get hit by it. Because if America falls, we bring down other countries with us. So, hey, when we say elections matter and they have consequences, you better fucking believe it. Because when we have a global economy, which is what we've been living under here all these years, I guess since the 90s, when we live under a global economy, we're all intertwined. And so when a link in the chain breaks, the whole chain collapses. And the United States is a big fucking link in that global economy. And right now, that link is breaking, and guess what's going to happen to that chain unless they can try to prevent the impact of our collapse? They're going to have to run for cover, you know. That means latching on to other, you know, other economies, other, you know, whatever you want to call it, revenues and shit like that. They have to leave the United States. They have to, for their own sake, you know, because nobody, I mean, everybody's bitching around the world that costs are high, but the last thing they want is this shit happening to the United States, to collapse. And they're pressing their fucking leaders to do some preventative measures so the impact of our collapse doesn't affect them as bad. Okay? It's funny how right now Russia is like where we are now, economically speaking, of course. They're on the verge. Okay? We're doing the same thing here. Why is that? You know, how come is it that we're falling apart? We're supposed to be, so much better than Russia, and yet we're both in the same boat. Okay? That's Trump's doing. Because, you know, he sent, what the hell was it? They had a bombing over there. Was it last night or the night before in Russia? And Trump sends some kind of a representative to try to help Putin out or whatever, do something. And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing, dealing? What that happened over there was just. That's Zelensky going after Putin. God bless him, okay? God bless him. It's not up to you to go over there and suck up to the fucking enemy of the guy you insulted in the fucking White House last month or the month before, okay? It goes to show you whose side he's on. Okay? Trump and Putin are buddies. You know, he thinks that he can somehow stop all this shit from happening. But what Trump doesn't understand is Putin has a bigger ego than Trump. He's not gonna kowtow to Trump and this idea. He knows what Trump is up to. He knows Trump wants those mineral rights in Ukraine. Okay? But right now, Putin's fighting for his life in this war, and he ain't gonna quit. And Zelensky ain't gonna quit. Do you see what I'm saying? This war goes on. And Trump, well, he's going to get caught in the crossfire if he ain't careful. But Trump is of no consequence to this issue here. Because now isn't the time for a grifter to step into this and, you know, and start trying to sell his snake oil and shit like that, okay? This isn't the time for Putin to be distracted by that buffoon. Okay? Putin is focused on hitting back, and Zelensky is focused on returning the same. Okay? And let's not forget who started this goddamn thing. It was not Zelensky. All right? So they're the people who are on the defensive since day one, and they're gaining ground on the Russians. And Putin is sweating bullets right now because the fucking issue is they're hitting close to home. They're hitting close to where he's at. Car bombings and shit like that. Okay? So when this goes on, nobody's going to be interested in talking peace or making deals for land. Okay? This isn't the time for that. Just like Netanyahu isn't going to listen to any negotiations with the Palestinians. Okay? He's too busy trying to eradicate the Gaza Strip. And he's hoping Trump will help him do that, which he probably will eventually. Okay? And I hope that sticks in everybody's craw when it happens. Maybe that'll add more fuel to the fire to get Trump the hell out of office. So, you know, what we have here, you know, what's been illustrated is you've got a guy who's defying our courts, defying justice, defying civility in our own country. The top man in America is ignoring what makes our country civil, and it's our justice system. Think what you want about it. It's not perfect, but it is what it is, and it has to function. If you don't want it to function, this is what you get. You know, kidnappings in the middle of the night, and deportations to countries to never see these folks ever again, whether they did anything wrong or not. Is that better than, say, due process? If you said yes, then you're part of the fucking problem, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, you're not even an American. You shouldn't even be a citizen. Christ, you want to talk about voter registration? I think we ought to start knocking MAGA members off that thing because, hey, they've already declared themselves to be un-American. They calling themselves terrorists now. Okay, so hey, you know, who's the best candidate here to fucking get rid of people from voting? It's not, you know, the rest of us. It's the fucking MAGA people. So, you know, I think we ought to start, you know, saying, look, if you voted for Trump, you're associated with MAGA, you cannot vote because you gave up your right to be a citizen in this country when you turned against the country. Makes sense to me. All right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
It's funny, Donald. This time it only took 2 months before your own team started stabbing you in the back and tearing each other apart. The knives are out. Elon attacking Peter Navarro and calling him dumber than a box of rocks. Navarro blasting back. Howard Lutnick under fire from your own West Wing. These idiots, please. Anonymous sources, leaking. Drip, 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 Donald. Everyone around you is fighting, Donald. Not for you, for themselves, for their power. They're all leaking to the media, telling the truth about your mess, your mistakes, your embarrassing performance at everything. And while they're fighting, you're sinking. Looked at your polls lately? Don't. They're as bad as your stock market. You thought they'd be loyal to you, Donald. Are you really that naive? They're ripping you off, getting power and fame from you while leaking against you. It's sad, Donald. So sad.
Donald Trump said he had a plan. What happened? Stock market crashed, trillions of dollars lost, retirement accounts gutted, chaos. So Donald Trump backed down. Inside traders on Wall Street made a fortune. But about the rest of us? Our retirement accounts are worth less than when Trump took office. Thousands of jobs down the drain. Small businesses devastated. There's no plan, no grand strategy. Just bad ideas that make the rich richer and hurt the rest of us. It's a clown show. His chief trade advisor was in prison last year. Mortgage rates are up. The price of eggs skyrocketing. Retirement funds down. Republicans control Washington. It's not working.
How to use a pump to get bigger. Hi, I'm Clarissa from Our Doctor, and we're talking about pumps and the benefits of using male enlargement and enhancement vacuum pumps. The male enhancement pump is a very easy to use and effective medical grade device to help men achieve a fuller erection and reduce premature ejaculation. This digital and waterproof device can be issued without a doctor's prescription. How do you use one? It's quite easy. Simply insert your penis shaft into the pump tube, power it up, then choose your desired setting. You may feel a suction, which is a good thing. This is drawing blood into the penis vessels. This causes a swelling effect to give you temporary, more significant, and more complex erection results for up to 24 hours. Permanent results can be achieved with regular daily sessions just by using this pump. If you suffer from erectile dysfunction or are looking to increase your size, this pump is proven to work. Due to genetic or hormonal factors, men born with micropenis or a tiny penis should also consider this product. The reason why is because you have additional skin growth around your penis and it's buried. This condition is not uncommon. However, using a pump like this one or having an outpatient procedure done can resolve this issue. From the men who have used the pump, they'll say it's given them a quarter to a full inch in length after using it for about 5 to 10 minutes before their sexual encounter. Some men like to take either sildenafil or tadalafil in conjunction with this pump, so they can achieve even longer lasting results. If you have any questions about our products or services, you can check us out on our website or call us, and we have doctors and specialists that can answer any of your questions. Thanks for watching. Please like, follow, and subscribe, and post any questions you may have in the comments below. See you next time.
Globe, it seems. Certainly it's not limited to tariff talk. It's always now about the wholesale destruction of an admittedly imperfect, but I guess at times noble system of governance that was once the envy and the fascination of the world. Well, those days are forever gone, it seems. But today's international MAGA incident involves a renewable energy wholesaler. It's also a MAGA bespoke bar patron. Rectify that if you can. It happened at a bar in Australia. A man literally gets handed his hat and a couple of choice words. That's making the rounds here on the internet. And as you'll see, those words are not "good day, mate." Now, in fairness, I guess the Australians have always had a fine sense of humor when it comes to Trump. It won't be that case in our featured clip. You'll see that in just a second after this.
No, you don't know anything about China. So as I said, do you think if there was an Australian version of Donald Trump, do you think that person would be tiptoeing around worrying about offending the United States? Of course not. I'm not, I'm not saying I'm an admirer of Trump by any means, but they've got to be able to stand up. And if that means you get a brickbat or a Truth Social post, saying you're weak and ineffectual. You don't know anything about China.
The intrusion of American politics into international affairs, it happens on both the local level in Australia, as we're about to see in our great heart-wrenching video of a Melbourne MAGA Minions public humiliation, and it also happens down there on a national level.
Well, Anthony Albanese has brought his campaign here to Green Island. There's amazing views, great wildlife and sunshine almost all year round. It's perfect for a photo opportunity. But even here in far north Queensland, the Prime Minister couldn't escape questions on Donald Trump and his changing stance on global tariffs, lifting the tariff on goods from China to 125%. We asked him whether he thought our relationship with China would hurt our chances of getting a tariff carve-out. Mark Butler, the Health Minister, continues to make similarities and draw comparisons between Peter Dutton and Donald Trump, saying if the coalition is elected, our healthcare system will be at risk. Donald Trump now dominating almost every press conference of this election campaign.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and sometimes asks you to remove your hat. Well, at least that was the case recently at Captain Baxter's rooftop bar in Melbourne. Now, here's a video. It's making the rounds like a viral Yelp review from an easily offended Good Time Angelo and the public rebuke of his MAGA fashion choice.
Venue that I come here quite often. I'm here just about nearly every weekend. Spend a lot of money here as well, and I've worn the hat more than 3 or 4 times at this venue with no objections, no issue, no controversy. And then yesterday, all of a sudden, I get told to take it off, otherwise I'll be evicted out of the venue. And I was embarrassed. Yeah, I was embarrassed. Well, I was told it was political incitement, which I think is completely nonsense. It wasn't. I was actually just having a bad hair day, and I liked the hat and I wanted to wear it. And I've worn it so many times there that I knew it wouldn't be an issue. And then yesterday I was just told to remove it, so it makes maybe now knowing that the venue manager had an American accent could have something to do with it. But there's over 150 million people wearing this hat in the States, so I don't think it's going to matter here.
Bad hair day, I understand, but a bit of a sunflake, from down under maybe. Well, around the world and across the globe, the choices made by voters in this country on November 2024, they're going to ring from sea to shining sea, and then each way, east, west, north, south, beyond, and even down under.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. All right, so this next video here is from iHip Girls, and they're going to be talking about Musk and Scott Bessent and other things here, what's going on. And so let's go to that video here, and we'll talk about that on the other side.
I don't think there's a precedent for the level of stupidity in which Elon Musk has engaged. He literally has taken a grenade and thrown it in every aspect of his life. Axios dove in a little deeper. Let's put up this headline. Elon Musk arrived in Washington as the most powerful political outsider ever. He's leaving with his reputation wounded, relationships severed, companies in crisis, fortune diminished, and little to show for Doge but chaos and contested savings. This has been an unforced faceplant of epic proportions. And this is something very interesting that historians of authoritarianism have pointed to. Usually you have the oligarchs over here and the autocrat here. This is the first time that we've seen an oligarch become an insider in the government, and it has failed spectacularly. And the suffering that this man has caused and the moral decay of America being a leader in human rights, civil rights, this man is completely diminished. I want to remind everybody that most people believe, his close friends, that this man is a full-blown ketamine addict and for sure a Twitter addict and a total liar, claims to be a free speech absolutist, which is just gaslighting. He is, in fact, the opposite.
Well, the veneer off of his complete and total lie of, like you said, free speech absolutist, as long as it's for his speech, and doing Nazi salutes, turns out it's not real popular here and abroad. And I look at Elon Musk and I think this is what happens when you buy a presidency and you are corrupt and you want to go and use the government to make your billions of dollars and then go in and trash it and lie about it. It's just blatant corruption.
Interestingly, like during Trump 1.0, he would tweet about Elon Musk and talk about how he was a billionaire only by government subsidies. And that Elon Musk would get on his knees and beg Trump for XYZ. And he would totally talk about how he is only a billionaire because of subsidies. My, how quickly they forget. Next up, this is, I think, going to be one of the biggest autopsies of Doge. Put this headline up. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, says it has saved $160 billion through its push to root out wasteful or fraudulent government spending, but that effort may also have come at a cost for taxpayers, with new analysis from nonpartisan research and advocacy group estimating that DOGE's actions will cost $135 billion this fiscal year. I'm going to go on the record to say at the end of this, when this is autopsied, DOGE costs us more money just on the money aspect of it. And then the cascading damage amortized over a timeline, 5 years, 10 years. It's what we're going to have to spend to fix the things that he has broken is going to be insurmountable.
I completely agree. And I also think it's worth noting that Elon Musk wanted the power and the recognition for Doge. But in reality, what he got in spades was he continues to award himself government contracts and he stopped investigations into himself and his companies. So regardless of how much it costs people, he wins because he's not in prison.
And I read an article, I can't remember if it was Vanity Fair or The Atlantic or somewhere, but basically there's a biographer of Elon Musk, and Elon Musk believes that he is a reincarnated king from another life.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, you can Google it. I read that article this weekend. I mean, this guy is delusions of grandeur. Another article came out that they estimate that it's not just 14 kids, that he has over 100 kids, and that his goal is to have 5,000 kids. So on top of all of just the breathtaking obvious incompetence that he's done with Doge and acting like he's an expert in areas wherein he is not, he is a freaking weirdo, like an absolute morally defunct weirdo. Moving along, we have Scott Bessent, and this just shows you how incompetent not only Trump is, and remember, it's trickle-down incompetence. So all the bottom feeders that agreed to work with a convicted felon are arriving at Trump 2.0 with the ability to do a lot of mental, moral, and fiscal gymnastics. And Scott Bessent is one of these guys. Here he is bullshitting on, I believe it's ABC News over the weekend.
Trump's strategy really has been to announce these tariffs, then dial some back, pause them, make exceptions. Explain why you see this as a good negotiating strategy.
Well, in game theory, it's called strategic uncertainty.
Okay, stop right there. Strategic uncertainty. This is the word salad that Fox claimed that Kamala Harris used. Everything they do is total projection. Strategic uncertainty is a jet stream of bullshit that's sold to the, single double-digit IQ viewers of Fox News that are like, oh, yeah, it's 4D chess. This is embarrassing. This guy has made billions of dollars working for hedge funds in the United States of America and doesn't have the decency to fight for everybody. And that's another autopsy on a lot of these S&P 500s. Come on. Stand up, CEOs. Stand up and fight for your customers.
What's so alarming about this is Scott Bessent knows that the market and business growth comes from security and stability. And he's sitting there acting like this is a good thing. What a total liar.
Okay, next up, we have Citadel's, I believe his name is Kyle Griffin, and put up this excerpt. This is the part that I thought was really interesting. He says, speaking as part of Stanford's View from the Top series in Silicon Valley, Griffin argued that the U.S. should try to play to its strengths, such as creating intellectual property and content, rather than bringing back jobs in factories that have largely automated their production anyway. He says, these are jobs that pay a stunning amount of money as compared to working in a factory making zippers or making home appliances or making flat screen TVs. Griffin said he had spoken a few weeks ago with a senior Chinese government official who questioned why U.S. trade policy would be to foster low-paying factory jobs and become more like China, instead of being the world power that China is trying to emulate. This right here was one of the most important excerpts I think I read all weekend. The United States government is actively trying to reorganize the economy in the way where J.D. Vance said these Chinese peasants, he wants American workers to be that. The Chinese are completely shocked by this. They have a population more than double the size of America's. And our economy remained so much larger, bigger, more productive than theirs. And they're sitting there scratching their head saying, wait a minute, you want our economy? Your economy is the envy of. Next up, same guy, Ken Griffin, with a little bit more here that I think is interesting. At the bottom of this, he says, these jobs are not coming back to America. And to be clear, with an unemployment rate of 4%, America has moved on. And this is a really key, important point. Trump was handed an economy where the unemployment rate was at record lows, S&P, NASDAQ, all sky high, and stable growth. Now, were there going to be some corrections in the stock market? Of course there were going to be some, but not like what we're seeing right now. But think about the insanity and the mental gymnastics that they're trying to project onto the American electorate when we have a 4% unemployment rate and they're saying we have a jobs problem and they want to bring back all of these manufacturing jobs when we're better off outsourcing those things. Furthermore, this is why China has trolled the shit out of the United States on TikTok and other Chinese social media platforms when they show like out of shape Americans working in factories, because for them, they're like, wait a minute, you outsource this stuff to us. And I will tell you, it was probably about 10 or 15 years ago, I watched a Vice documentary. And in Alabama, they deported a bunch of the immigrant workers in these strawberry fields. And this like redneck guy that owns, he goes, I want my immigrants back. Mm-hmm. We got all these white guys out here and they don't work as hard. So this is just stupidity and an authoritarian play so that there's 0.01% that hold all the money, all the wealth, and then everybody else has these shitty jobs. And China and other countries are just like, you guys are dumb. I mean, I could say it deeper and deeper, but for them, they're like, how stupid are these guys?
Well, the thing about it is I truly believe that Donald Trump, I think you're 100% right with the authoritarianism. He wants to be an authoritarian. So he is doing everything in an authoritarian playbook. And these people continue to vote against their own interests.
And this is my number one thing right now. You have in the S&P 500s, you have 0 CEOs speaking out and pushing back against Donald Trump. 0 out of the S&P 500 companies, 0 leadership in any CEO standing up to this fascist, authoritarian, illegal, human rights administration. And it is abhorrent. You have Harvard standing up, and we're going to start to see others. But I think we need to start putting pressure on everybody. The people is not going to be enough. Corporations are not going to be enough to stand up against this to save our country. Everybody has to come together. And there's a couple of Wall Street executives that are starting to crack. Put this up. More executives from Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon to Virgin Group founder Richard Branson warned Wall Street and the Trump administration of the damage to the economy that tariffs will cause. Branson said Trump could do lasting harm with his unpredictable trade policies that took a booming economy and shook it to its core. It's just such a pity because everything was going so bloody well up to about 3 months ago, Branson said. And I think more and more S&P 500 CEOs have got to speak up because what is happening is they're playing this short-term game where they think they can consolidate a lot of wealth and make a lot of money under Trump. Well, as we found out, everybody's going to lose a lot of money. And in a recession, these S&P 500 companies don't do well. And Americans have to lean on these corporations to help save democracy. We can clean up that part of it later, but I don't think we save this democracy without the private sector stepping in and standing up to this Trump regime in the same way that Harvard is doing.
Well, we saw that last week, Walmart, Home Depot, Target CEOs went to Trump and said, we're going to have serious issues. I read this weekend, by May, they think shelves will be empty. The Port of Seattle importing goods, empty. So we're going to start feeling it. And you've always said these CEOs are short-sighted. And I believe that because we're looking at, if nobody's making any money and there's nothing to buy, they lose just as much as the American public.
And I call on all three of those CEOs, instead of sitting down with him and still trying to play patty cake with him, get other CEOs, get a whole legion of CEOs, and then go to the steps of Congress and apply pressure, because we are at a precipice. We are living in a historical moment, and we are crashing the world's strongest economy and the whole American experiment for a broken, insecure, malignant narcissist. It's utterly chaotic and insane. All right, please subscribe. We're getting super close to 1 million. I think we're over 800,000 now. So subscribe, like, engage with all liberal content. It's a way that we can boost our messaging and our other peers in this platform arena, like Midas Touch, Brian Tyler Cohen, Don Lemon, The Bulwark. Make sure you like, and we build a big echo chamber to counteract this right-wing nonsense. All right, we'll see you all later.
Well, it's, I don't want to feel sympathy for Musk, okay, and what he's going through right now, okay, because right now everybody's concern is about their own lives right now. We don't have the wherewithal right now to concern ourselves with a rich asshole who hitched his wagon on a fucking falling star rather, and now he's going down in flames. Okay, I'm sorry, but America right now is interested more in how they're going to eat, what they're going to be able to afford tomorrow. Those are our major concerns. What happens to Musk is Musk's fault. He shot himself in the foot. He's the one that decided that Trump was his man to make him more money. And he's been losing money ever since he got involved with Trump. And his company has been nosediving like there's no tomorrow. And there's a good chance that, Tesla will go bankrupt. If things don't improve with that. And it's only going to prove unless Tesla votes him out, the CEOs or whatever, if the board votes him out. Okay, that's the only way Tesla is gonna come back, because as long as that man's name is attached to that company, people are just not gonna fucking deal with him. All right. This is like another instance, like with the DeLorean. Remember that car from the 80s, or the Back to the Future car? And how that guy got mixed up in some fucking money thing there. I don't know. I can't remember the whole details with it. But because of what he did, what DeLorean did, the guy that run that company, the whole company collapsed. And that's why, you know, there's no DeLoreans, you know, no companies, no car dealerships selling DeLoreans. They disappeared. It wasn't around very long. But this Tesla is sort of like a replay of history in that regard, because it's the guy, the head of that, who really ruined it for everybody else. If he'd have kept his mouth shut and didn't do those Sikh hives, okay, he never would have, things wouldn't have gone this way. You know? But he's got an issue. He's got a problem. Drugs, maybe. You know, maybe there's more to it than that. I don't know. But he comes off to me as a guy that's got a mental problem, because of the way he stands against free speech. I mean, no, he says he likes free speech, but then he does things to shut people up on his own chat sites or whatever the hell he's on. Okay? He can't take criticism, so he shuts everybody up. So this is a guy who says he likes free speech, but then, you know, when people exercise it, he don't want to hear it. That's a typical MAGA nut there, if you ask me. But this is what they do. They don't like being told when they're wrong. And, you know, Trump is one who lately has been going a lot there on tweeting and stuff like that. I mean, I've been reading some of the stuff he's been writing, and it sounds like the rantings of a guy who is, like, you know, having a mental fit, because there's so much chaos going around, and he thinks you know, he ain't the one responsible for it. He thinks it's all the Democrats that's stirring shit up against him. It's like, oh, okay, so in other words, what you've been doing is, oh, it should be okay to us, right? You know, obviously you're not listening to your lawyers, or you are not listening to what the judges are saying. You just got it in your fucking head that you're right and everybody else is wrong. Egomaniac, okay? I mean, that's what he is. Same kind of gobbledygook we got when he was running for president, okay? I got ideas, I got concepts of ideas, you know what I'm saying? He just, you know, the guy is just a fucking loser. But Doge, you know, was another thing that impacted Musk. Being involved in that, and the shoddy way he was running that outfit. They say he saved $160 billion. I want to see it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to believe that. I think they pull that number out of their ass. Okay, when they said, oh, we saved this $160 billion. Well, if that's the case, then let's see it. We've been hounding you for fucking weeks and weeks about where are you finding, you know, wasteful spending and, you know, scams. I mean, come on. If you think that shit is out there, show it to the American people. Let us see the fucking things you found, okay? No. They ain't doing it. No, we're supposed to just take their word. An administration that lives off lies, okay? All they do is lie, and we're supposed to take their word for it that they saved us $160 billion from Doge. Maybe 160 billion weren't saved. Maybe 160 billion went into the pockets of the wealthy in this country. Okay, I don't know, but we certainly didn't save anything. That $160 billion that he claimed he saved was probably all those people that got laid off, who were honest to goodness workers, okay, doing their goddamn jobs, and departments that we still fucking need, that he cut in half and cut in quarters and everything. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That's not wasteful spending. He says, oh, we saved 160 billion. No, that 160 billion's got to go back. Okay? That was for legitimate stuff. You simply ripped off 160 billion dollars without even thinking about, you know, the necessity that those things institute. If there was a savings at all. Okay? I'm just saying that this 160 billion dollars could be depicted to us as a savings or as a theft, you know, by Doge, okay? Because remember, they still got to pay for renewing a tax cut that's coming up at the end of the year. the one that Trump instituted in his first term. That comes due at the end of the year. That, you know, it has to be renewed. So they need to come up with enough money to be able to pay for that. Okay? And this 160 billion, you know, apparently is just a drop in the bucket, because what they need is, like, Christ, over 800 billion or something, close to $1 trillion more at least, you know, to, you know, reinstate those fucking tax cuts again. So, you know, like I said, you know, the way they spin shit, like I said, living in another reality. That's what this is. This money they're telling people that they saved really was not real. It's not real. And if anything, it was probably a theft of the systems that we all depend on and need. Okay? Some of us are already feeling, you know, the lack of government being there for us now when we need it. And I'm sure that this money would have been needed in order to prop up those things. And we probably, you know, should understand that when they tell you something, it's not entirely the truth, if at all. Oh yeah, and that reminds me of something here. Hold on a second here. Okay, you see that picture there? That is a picture of the White House lawn, and this row of pictures are the faces of supposedly some of those people who were deported from the United States to El Salvador, and underneath the pictures are the reasons that they were taken out of here, okay? And it says, White House lawn lined with posters displaying illegal immigrants' mugshots and crimes they committed. The White House lawn has been lined with the mugshots style posters brandishing the faces of the arrested illegal immigrants and lists of their despicable crimes some have committed. Let me tell you something, folks, about this. This is propaganda. We don't know these people, okay? They could take a picture of anybody and underneath it make up a list of fucking violations or crimes or something like that. How are we to know that that's even true, right? How are we even to know that these people are the ones that they sent down there? Okay, but Trump, in his little childish, petty fashion, decided he's going to get the last vote, the last voice here in this argument by go out there, plant pictures, and put that all over the fucking lawn. Okay, that's like, I can't tell you how fucking bizarre that. And that's never ever happened in this country. Okay, that's never happened. This is a first. And Trump is good at being the first for a lot of things. Okay, he's very good at that. And this is a first. This is a fucking first right here. And like I said, since Trump is a known fucking liar, why should we even trust those fucking posters for being true? They wouldn't even tell us what Garcia had done to deserve going down there. They'd come, oh, MS-13, he was a gang member, and the press asked for the evidence. Oh, you know, they ain't gonna show it. Okay, let's go to court. Give him his due process so we can prove that he was a gang member. No, we're not bringing him back. Okay, what are they afraid of? If these people are fucking criminals and stuff, bring them back and let's put them through the goddamn courts. At least then people would shut up about it, right? If they're, you know, if we prove us wrong, is what we're saying, prove us fucking wrong. If these people are the criminals that you say they are, prove us fucking wrong. And then we'll shut up about it. I wouldn't hold your breath, though. Okay? But this is his latest ploy at trying to shut people up. Like, that's going to work, okay? That's only making people more angry. Okay? And it shows just how fucking callous Trump is to do something like that. That's like putting a huge middle finger up, made it sculpted on the front lawn, and it said, fuck you, America. I mean, that's just about the same fucking thing. As if he put a goddamn sculpture of a middle finger up at everybody on the road. He puts that on the fucking lawn. Unbelievable. But, like I said, that's Trump. He's good at doing things you'd never think would be done. And then here's this other thing. Carolyn Leavitt there, had come out yesterday, or was it Saturday? I can't remember now. Christ, you know, so much shit happens in just 2-3 days in this country. She come out and said that the, quote, government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages, unquote. Think about that for a minute. So, you know, they're gunning for mass indentured servitude. All right, that's what they're going. They're trying to pressure people to pay their bills. Where Biden was trying to work with these people to lessen the burden of it, this guy is going to say, "Fuck you. You either pay us, or we're just going to take whatever fucking earnings you make. We're going to pocket that for ourselves, and you'll never have any money." Somebody said, well, this is their way of trying to prevent people from going to college because MAGA is afraid of educated people. That could be. It certainly would. If it isn't, it certainly will create that problem, right? Because people are going to say, fuck going to college. Christ, going to college is like, you know, putting your life out on your line. I mean, there's too much risk in it. You know, people are not going to be able to afford it. And when they go in there and they have a bill, they're going to end up paying it one way or the other, and they won't let you do anything to fucking pay it off except, you know, pay it. Just pay it. You know, it's like the fucking mafia. They go over there, break your leg. If you don't pay it, pay me. Fuck you, pay me. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want. So, and then of course we can't forget about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She said here this morning, I think, that Catholic bishops are controlled by Satan. She's gunning for going to hell after she dies, okay? She's a snowball headed for hell. That's where she's going, okay? First she insults the Pope, and now she's insulting bishops, okay? You know, hey, if you don't like the Catholic Church, fine. But when you come out as a politician and you say shit like this, you're not making any fucking friends, especially with people that claim to be Christian. All right. So, like I said, this is, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene. But, you know, these things here, and now, you know, and then this come out today, I think, where the signal scandal there. She says, Pam Bondi says, oh, the information was sensitive, but it wasn't classified. And again, she's using the same excuse that Hegseth used, like, you know, and what we ought to be talking about is how successful we were. You know, it's like, oh yeah, so let's ignore the fact that you broke security just because you won a fight, you know. Okay, so everyone in the administration is trying to continually push this under the rug. But we as the public should keep bringing that out, because I'll tell you, if we don't keep reminding people about this fucking Hegseth shit, this signal scandal, okay, if we don't keep reminding people, they'll just forget about it, okay? And we don't want that. We don't want people to forget that what they did is wrong, what he did is wrong, and Pam Bondi defending that is wrong, okay? We have so many fucking issues that, you know, that this administration has created, from Musk all the way down to the lowest guy on the totem pole here. You know, and the fact that Trump, you know, goes to a press conference and says that, oh, I sealed 200 trade deals, and yet nobody in his cabinet can even name one. Okay. The lies just keep on coming. And that's why I say, when you ever see Trump moving his mouth, he's lying. Don't even watch the coverage of what the hell it is that he's saying, okay? Because basically, you're wasting your time. You know, I'm trying to think of something here where people don't like to waste their time, like waiting at a stoplight. People hate waiting at stoplights. So imagine if they added an extra 10 minutes to the stoplight. Okay, are you going to sit there and wait 10 more fucking minutes for that light to turn green? Or are you just going to fucking use your judgment as a driver to, you know, go ahead? It's the same thing. If you got that, if you have the ability to do that, then you got the ability to ignore a guy like Trump who gets on TV and utters more fucking lies. Why waste your time? Okay, just say to yourself, the light is green and I'm going. Okay, there's no traffic, there's nothing. I'm just going. I ain't gonna sit here for another 10 minutes wasting my time listening to this fool. Okay. And oh yeah, let me read this little article here about Putin. Okay, it says Trump envoy meets Putin hours after Moscow explosion there. Okay. Donald Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, has met Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin for high-stakes peace talks, hours after a senior Russian military official was killed in a car explosion near Moscow. Trump has played up Witkoff's visit, his fourth to Russia in recent months, claiming a deal on ending the war in Ukraine was within reach. Quote, the next few days are going to be very important. Meetings are taking place right now, unquote. Trump told reporters on Thursday, quote, I think we're going to make a deal. I think we're getting very close, unquote. Okay, so more lies. And like I said, you know, what business does Trump have to go over there, like I already covered? Okay, it's all about Trump wanting to get his hands on Ukraine. He doesn't want this war to continue. He wants this thing to stop so he can start excavating, goddamn, you know, strip mining that fucking country. And I'll tell you, you know, if let's just say Russia quits their fight, Zelensky will start fighting us if we try to go over there without his consent to do these things. Okay, if Trump wants to push it and get and just bully his way in there the way Putin did, Zelensky will be killing us. And I wouldn't blame the guy. I really wouldn't. I mean, in a way, if you want to really think about it, Russia is sort of Trump's proxy to going after Zelensky. Because Trump cares more about what happens to Putin than he does with Ukraine. And trust me, the people in Ukraine know this, okay? I've been watching some videos, vloggers that are in Ukraine, Ukrainian vloggers, and they are talking about what's going on, and they see the duplicity of what the United States is doing here, and we're not really, we're sinking in their appeal of us now. At first we were held in high regard, and now we're looked at as pariahs, you know, lackeys for Putin. So I'm telling you, it's going to happen if Trump tries to get his way over this against Zelensky's wishes here, okay? So be prepared for that. Okay, that's it for today. Hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, and share. Keep your ears open for health-related issues. And be neighborly to each other and be supportive. And I'll talk to you guys later. So take care, buddy. Bye-bye.